All right, we are back on the record. The record will reflect the presence of all jurors, all counsel, and the defendant are present. Mr. Moser, you are still on the stand. You're still under oath. All right. And then Ms. Barr, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Moser. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. You testified before we took our lunch break that a member of yours named Robert reported to you that something concerning happened to his wife on the upstairs gym equipment in early to mid-February of this year. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, you didn't speak with the wife directly, right?
Right.
And she's there pretty routinely every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with her husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, you determined not to file an incident report?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Robert and his wife together reported another incident to you on or about February 25th.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that a Monday?
I believe so, yes.
Early in the week? Yes.
Yes.
And that involved something that happened in the jacuzzi area of the gym.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, and this incident was, you took that a bit more seriously,
Yes, ma'am.
would you say? And so, when that incident was reported to you, it was important to you to find out the truth about what happened in the jacuzzi, right?
Right.
Because the allegation was somewhat serious, right?
Yes.
And so the report to you was that the woman was in the jacuzzi and something concerning happened in there, and then later her husband arrived on the scene. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the information that you had was that just the woman and another gentleman were in the jacuzzi.
I didn't get that far. When she was giving me the information, that's when I brought Shelley over to take the full incident report.
Okay, so you didn't ask her any questions about if there was anybody else in the
No,
jacuzzi
ma'am.
or anybody else in the whole area
No, I didn't ask any of those questions.
that could confirm or deny what had happened?
Right. I didn't ask any of them.
Because if those questions had been asked by you or Shelley, you could have verified what other members were in the gym at that time based on your check-in logs, right?
But we get a lot of members that come through. I couldn't tell you what part of the gym they would be at. They could be in the basketball court. So when they check in, I don't know exact location where they're at in the gym.
Sure, but you could start with at least the check-in logs, find out who was in the gym on a day
Yes,
and a
ma'am.
time in the whole gym, and then potentially conduct interviews.
Objection calls for speculation.
Oh, overruled. You can answer. You understand the question?
I understand the question, Your Honor. It's just when you get like 300 people coming in an hour, be like 300 people asking them this question of what if or where were you?
So it's a really busy gym location, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the information that you had was that this happened sometime in the late afternoon.
Yes.
And is that a peak time for the gym?
Not at all. It's very slow at that time.
What would you say are the peak times?
Peak times are usually from 8:30 in the morning till about 1:30, and then it picks up again from 4:30 to about 8 o'clock at night.
4:30 to 8 would be another peak time. And does that mean that there are 300 or so members in the gym during that second afternoon peak?
In the from 4:30 on, yeah, there's probably that many people coming in and out of the gym.
That's the getting out of work,
Exactly.
after work crowd.
I
Okay.
believe the date though you gave me was like a Friday.
Yes.
That's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are guilty days in the gym industry. That's when everybody shows up. Friday, they've already thrown in the hat and they're done doing the workout thing. So
They're not,
Friday all day is almost a nice vacation day.
they're not all done though, right?
They're not all done, but Friday's a very slow day.
Enough people show up that you have to show up to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you work really long hours. I think you said 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. You're at that front desk area.
In and out of that front desk area, yes, ma'am.
Can I show you what's been previously marked as Courts Exhibit 165? Just to orient you, and correct me if I'm wrong, this picture is taken on the second floor of your gym, looking down to the check-in area.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the check-in desk there?
I can see part of it, yes.
It might be easier to look on that back screen. Got a little blurry, but you're very familiar with
see it.
the
Yes,
gym,
ma'am.
so you're very familiar with that check-in
Yes.
area. You spend 11 or 12 hours a day there. And the wall behind the check-in desk has the Crunch Fitness logo in the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
And then to either side, there are windows,
Yes.
and they go up the entire 2 stories
Yes.
of the whole gym. And they're maybe 6 or 8 feet wide.
4 to 5 feet wide.
Okay. And what's behind those windows is the pool and jacuzzi area, right?
Yes, ma'am. Behind that wall is a 25 meter pool, and then at the end of that 25 meters, there's the jacuzzi.
Okay. And that's the only jacuzzi in the gym,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay. And so you're up at that front desk a lot. You said that's kind of where you position yourself most days because you're the general manager.
Yes.
And so you want to be available there for anything that goes wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there's other staff members that congregate around that front desk.
I usually have a fitness manager and then one other front desk person.
So at least 3 staff members.
At any time, there could be 3 staff members, yes.
And could be more.
In a perfect situation, 3 staff members.
And sometimes there's more staff members there.
There could be.
I stopped by and saw you there yesterday afternoon around 5:15.
And that's prime time, so I would definitely have more staff members there at that time.
And there were maybe 5 or 6 staff members up front there.
There could have been.
And so all those staff members can pretty easily turn around and look through those windows into the pool and jacuzzi area.
Yes.
Can I show you what's been previously marked as Courts Exhibit 171? You testified that this is the check-in log from your gym belonging to Kellen Winslow,
Yes, ma'am.
just for the date span of January to February of 2019. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And can you go back up just a little bit? And was that report generated on Friday, March 1st at 4:38 p.m.? Is that what that indicates, that that's when it was generated?
Yes.
Okay. Could you put up Courts Exhibit 162? So this is do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the whole thing?
Yes,
Okay. And is that another member check-in history?
it is.
And is that attributed to Kellen Winslow also?
Yes.
And was that generated on Friday, March 1st, 2019 at 4:47 p.m.?
March 1st, yes.
So same date as the other one, but 9 eight or 9 minutes later?
Yes.
If I can, permission to approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Could you take a moment and look at the 2 check-in logs? So they have
Which exhibits are those?
number 162 and 171.
Okay, thank you.
So they seem to have the same general date range. Is that right?
Yes.
But they have some different entries. Is that right? There are some dates and times that appear on one, but not the other. For example, let's see. I think February 19th. It looks like on the 4:38 p.m. check-in history, there is a February 19th check-in, but on the check-in history generated at 4:47 p.m., there's not an entry for February 19th.
I couldn't tell you why.
That was going to be my question. I was just going to ask you if you know what the difference is in the 2 check-in history logs.
I couldn't tell you why now.
Okay. There are some, you can take those down. There are some surveillance cameras inside the Crunch Fitness gym?
Yes, ma'am, I believe in the main area, overlooking the workout floor.
Okay. And as the general manager, do you monitor those surveillance cameras?
No, I don't.
Okay. Did any police officer or detective associated with this case ever ask you to pull the surveillance camera footage from any time in February of 2019?
Nobody asked me.
Nothing further, thanks.
Redirect.
Your Honor, do you know whether or not corporate counsel was contacted regarding those surveillance systems?
I have no idea.
Do you have any idea whether or not they were actively recording any information?
I don't know.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Can this witness be excused?
You may.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moser. You are excused.
Thank you, sir.
I'll take those exhibits, though. Thank you. Have a nice day. Next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people recall Detective John Johnson.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
You are still under oath. Direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Johnson, did you conduct some follow-up investigation into the reported acts involving Jane Doe number 5, initially beginning on February 25th of 2019?
Yes, I did.
Were you contacted by a member of the corporate office at Crunch Fitness regarding that incident?
Yes, that's how I learned about the incident. I had a voicemail on my phone that actually the morning of February 26th, I found a voicemail and it came in from Michael Israel, who identified himself as corporate counsel of Crunch Fitness.
When you were alerted to the fact that an incident had occurred, did they inform you that, at least in terms of the employees at Crunch Fitness, they believed that Kellen Winslow had been involved?
Yes.
Is that why they had reached out and had that information funneled to you?
Yes, somehow Michael Israel, obtained information saying that he had heard the report would be forwarded to me, and I began to look for a report, and I didn't find that anybody had taken any report, And I don't know how he got my name or how he associated me with the case.
Now, in terms of the contact with the sheriff's department from an outside individual, they would be able to locate the case agent who would be handling an active investigation, is that right?
Apparently so, because he got me.
So once they contacted you, did you in fact coordinate with the Carlsbad Police Department to obtain a crime report regarding what had happened?
Yes,
Did you do that on February 26th, the same day that you had been contacted by corporate counsel?
yes.
Now, do you know whether or not the gymnasium itself reached out on the 25th or the 26th?
Well, I received the voicemail the morning of the 26th. I believe that was placed on the 25th.
And once you had at least conducted some initial follow-up investigation, did you eventually go and meet with Jane Doe number 5 herself at her residence?
Yes,
In terms of your efforts to attempt to obtain any sort of surveillance video, did you do so through the proper channels at Crunch Fitness?
well, I don't know proper channels, but I talked to their corporate counsel, Michael Israel, about that very issue, yes.
And in terms of whether or not there was any available surveillance footage, what information did you receive?
Well, what he told me was that the cameras that were placed inside the facilities actually didn't work. He didn't think that was generally known, but he didn't know if they were dummy cameras or just non-functional, but they didn't have surveillance inside.
Now, did you at least attempt to explore the possibility of obtaining such surveillance, though?
Yes, I asked him about that, yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, who's got this witness?
No, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Park?
Thank you, no, Your Honor.
No questions, okay. You can resume your seat at council table. Next witness?
Thank you, Your Honor. The people now call Nicole Edwards.
All right.
I understand she's coming through the background.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon. Can you please raise your right hand and face the clerk?
You do solemnly state that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you would, please have a seat. And if you would, please state your name and spell your first and last name for the record.
Okay, my name's Nicole Edwards, Nicole. Last name Edwards.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Edwards. Thank you for being here. The attorneys have some questions for you. We're going to start first with Mr. Owens, okay?
Okay.
All right, direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Edwards.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to ask you some questions about an incident that occurred back in 2003. Are you familiar with the person who we're going to refer to by the name of Jane Doe number 4 in this case?
I am.
How is it that you know Jane Doe number 4?
We were friends back in high school.
When is it that you met her originally?
I would say freshman year.
When you say that you were friends back in high school, do you remain close friends today?
No.
When was the last time that you would say you had any direct, regular contact with her from now going back towards the high school days?
I would say maybe just a few years after high school.
Do you recall whether or not she moved away right after you finished high school?
She did.
Where did she move?
I think it was Hawaii.
Now, If you became friends your freshman year, what high school did you actually go to when you met?
Mount Carmel.
Did you continue through your entire time in high school at Mount Carmel?
I did, yes.
Did she?
No, she moved.
Do you remember what high school she went to?
Escondido.
Remember when it was that she did that?
I don't remember.
Sometime after freshman year, but before the end of high school?
Correct.
How often would you spend time with her when you were in high school?
Pretty frequently, I would say.
And what sorts of things would you do together?
Typical high school stuff, like movies, probably just hang out with friends, hang out at the mall.
Now, do you recall the time in the spring, the end of the school year, your senior year of high school, where you and Jane Doe number 4 went out for the evening?
Yes.
Do you remember the specific date that was that I'm referring to?
No.
Is it fair to say that if this happened now almost 16 years ago, it might be difficult to remember some of those details?
Correct.
Were you contacted by the district attorney's office on July 10th of last year regarding what you remembered from this incident in June of 2003?
Yes.
Prior to being contacted by the district attorney's office, did Jane Doe number 4 reach out to you through social media at some point before our interview with you?
Yes.
Do you remember how it was that she reached out to you?
It was through Instagram.
When was the last time that you would have actually directly spoken with Jane Doe number 4 before she reached out to you via Instagram?
I believe it was a few years before that.
Do you remember the last time that you saw her, like how that happened?
I don't remember. I believe she came to visit when her mother was ill, but I don't remember when that was exactly.
And as your best recollection is that that was a few years before June or July of 2018, is that right?
Correct.
Now, when you were contacted by Jane Doe number 4, do you remember what it was that she contacted you about?
It was, I think she sent me an article about the initial arrest, and she asked me if I remember what happened to her.
When you say that she sent you an article about an initial arrest, what are you referring to?
It was Kellen Winslow's arrest. I'm not sure which one or what it was about.
And when she sent you that article, had you actually seen the news that a person by the name of Kellen Winslow had been arrested?
Yes.
Had you seen that before she sent you the article?
Yes.
Now, had you been in regular communication with her or reached out to her prior to her sending you that Instagram message?
No.
When she asked you if you remembered what happened to her, do you remember how you responded?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said, yes, I do remember.
What were you referring to when you told her, yes, I do remember?
That she was taken advantage of, pretty much. She said she was raped at that time.
When you're saying that she said she had been taken advantage of or raped, are you referring to back in June of 2003?
Yes.
I want to ask you some of the details you best recall of what happened on that evening. Do you remember first where you and Jane Doe number 4 were when you started the night?
Not initially, but I know we were at some house party somewhere, I believe.
Do you remember what part of town that house party was in?
I'm going to assume maybe Scrimps Ranch, Mira Mesa, somewhere in that area.
Why do you say it that way, that you're going to assume that it was either in the Mira Mesa or Scripps Ranch area?
We tend to hang out more in that area at that time.
Do you have a fairly vague recollection of that particular night?
Yes.
Now, can you tell us, as you best recall, what happened after you were at a house party with Jane Doe number 4?
We left and we went to a different house that had fewer people.
Why was it that you associate, or why is it that you associate that night with Kellen Winslow?
He was there.
Had you met Kellen Winslow before this particular night?
I don't remember. I don't think so. But I think it's more not officially meet, but seen him around.
Okay. And when you say that you had seen him around, did you know much about him?
That he was an athlete, football player.
Did you know whether he was in high school or if he was in college?
I don't think he wasn't in high school because they were older than us, but I'm not sure about college.
When you say they were older than you, who are you referring to?
His associates or his friends.
Did you know any of his friends?
I knew one of them,
What was that person's name?
Chris
Do you know Chris's last name?
Resta.
How did you know Chris Resto?
I believe his family were friends with or Jane Doe's family, sorry.
Do you know whether or not in Chris?
Let's
pardon me.
not use true names. We'll refer to who or her is Jane Doe number 4.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sorry.
I appreciate that. Now, Jane Doe number 4's family, as far as you knew, may have been friends with Chris Resto's family. Is that right?
Correct.
And when, as far as you know, did Jane Doe number 4 know Chris very well?
I'm not sure very well, but I know they knew of each other, yes.
Okay. Now, were you dating anybody during this time frame?
No,
Were you seeing anybody or talking to anybody in a romantic way?
no.
In terms of June of 2003, were you and Jane Doe number 4, did you hang out with Chris or Kellen Winslow very often?
Not directly, it was more seeing them out in public areas.
And when you say in public areas, what types of places do you recall seeing Mr. Winslow?
I would say either at sporting events or like house parties or any other high school type functions.
Do you see Mr. Winslow in court today?
Yes.
Where is he seated and what is he wearing?
He's wearing a suit with glasses.
All right, the record will reflect identification. Well, there's 2 people with suits and glasses. Can you be more specific?
Second from the far wall.
Okay, the record will reflect identification of the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. And had you ever really spoken to him or spent much time with him?
No.
So on the night in question that you remember something happening with Jane Doe number 4, after the house party that was in the Scripps Ranch or Mira Mesa area, did you come into contact with Mr. Winslow or Chris or anyone of his friends?
They were at the second place.
Do you remember how it was that you got to the second place?
I don't remember.
Do you remember who you were with?
I was with Jane Doe, number 4.
And when you and Jane Doe number 4 were together, was anyone else there, if you recall?
There were several people, yes.
Prior to getting to the house, do you remember how you knew or how you learned that you would then go to that second house?
I don't remember.
Once you're at the house, how many people would you say were there?
I would say no more than 10.
And would that include you and Jane Doe 4?
Yes.
And who else, as far as any names of the individuals who were there, who do you recall being present among the 10?
Kellen and Chris.
Do you remember anyone else being there other than you, Jane Doe 4, Mr. Winslow, and Chris Resto?
Not by name or faces.
Can you describe the second house that you were at?
I don't, the only thing I remember was it being on a corner or near a corner, and it was a 2-story home.
What type of home was it?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by what type of home?
Was it an apartment? Was it a townhouse? Was it a single
And
family
it was
house?
a single family house. Single family house.
Okay. And what do you remember doing when you got to the second house?
Initially, I don't remember, but I do remember falling asleep on the couch downstairs.
Did you hang out in the backyard or inside the house?
I believe I stayed indoors. I don't remember going outdoors.
When you say that you remember falling asleep on the couch, do you remember who was around?
No, I do not remember.
Was the majority of the group that was there, the 10 people or so that you estimate, were they mainly downstairs?
There's some upstairs.
What do you remember happening before falling asleep?
I don't recall much. I don't remember.
It's fair to say it's difficult to recall all these types of specifics.
Correct.
Prior to being contacted by Amanda via Instagram in June of last year, had you thought much about that night?
Not really.
Why's that?
I guess because we lost contact, so it was more of a out of sight, out of mind kind of situation.
Right. And understanding that a lot of time had passed and you might not have thought about it much, is it difficult to recall all the specific details of that night now?
Very difficult.
Now, what do you recall happening after you fell asleep on a couch?
I remember waking up to Jane Doe 4 saying we have to go. She was coming, I believe she was coming down the stairs, pretty distraught, crying, saying we had to leave. And that's pretty much all I remember.
And you remember specifically whether she was upset and crying?
Yes, she was.
And do you remember actually leaving right after that?
I don't remember if it was soon after that, but I know we left.
Do you remember seeing anyone else around when Jane Doe number 4 came down the stairs in that way?
I don't remember.
Did you see Mr. Winslow with Jane Doe number 4 at any point that night?
I don't remember.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you what's been previously identified as Court's Exhibit 4, do you recognize the people that are in that photograph?
Yes.
Who are they?
And don't use the true names.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Jane Doe number 4 and Kellen Winslow.
Do you know if you took that picture?
I don't remember.
Do you know when that picture was taken?
I don't remember. I look fairly young.
Is that the way that Jane Doe number 4 looked when you knew her and used to spend time with her in high school?
Yes.
Is that the way that Mr. Winslow looked, at least in the times that you saw him around in high school?
Yes.
Now, what do you remember happening after Jane Doe number 4 came down the stairs crying and distraught?
I don't remember where we went after we left, but I don't remember where we went or what we did exactly after that.
Did anyone go with you when you and Jane Doe 4 left?
I don't remember.
Can you tell us how she was acting during this car ride?
I just remember her crying, but she wouldn't tell me then what was going on.
Do you remember what she was saying to you?
I don't think at that time she didn't really say much. I believe it was either the next day or several days later when she told me what happened.
And when she was talking to you about what happened, do you remember what it was that she said?
She was saying that she was trying to say no, or she was saying no, but he wouldn't get off of her and that he was too big for her to fight back.
Did she tell you that he wouldn't listen when she told him no?
I don't remember her specific words, but I remember her saying that she was telling him no.
Did she say that he had forced himself on her?
That I don't remember.
Now, did she tell you who it was that had done this to her on that night?
Not initially.
Did she at any point tell you that?
Eventually, yes, she did.
Do you remember when that was?
I don't remember exactly.
Was it at least close in time to when this happened?
Yes.
Who was it that she said had forced himself on her after she was telling him no?
That was Kellen.
Did you know who she meant?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to her in much detail about exactly what happened?
No.
Now, did she tell you that she didn't want to talk about it?
Yeah, she told me she didn't want to talk about it and then not to say anything to anybody.
Did you ever talk to anybody about it?
No.
Did she say something to you about a video of the incident?
Yes.
What do you remember her telling you about the video?
I remember she was saying there might be a video, and then just being around, there was rumors about a video of that night.
And when you're saying that you recall hearing rumors about a video, did you and Jane Doe number 4 try to find out if it existed?
I don't think we tried hard enough. I think it was more just asking around, but it was all he said, she said type.
Now, did you ever actually talk to anybody about whether there was a video?
No.
You remember her telling you about it, though?
Yes.
Now, this night that you were hanging out at the house party and then ultimately ended up at this second house, do you remember if you were drinking?
I don't remember.
Do you remember if she was drinking?
Don't remember.
Do you know if Mr. Winslow was drinking?
I don't know.
Do you know if Chris Resto was drinking?
I don't know.
Do Do you recall what type of car Chris Resto drove that during that time frame?
Oh, I don't remember.
Do you remember anything about Mr. Winslow's car during that time frame?
No, I do not.
Now, when Jane Doe 4 brought this up through an Instagram message, did you tell her that you would support her?
Yes.
Were you willing to at least be there for her if she needed you?
Yes.
Why was that?
I've never been in that situation, but I can only imagine what she is going through. So I
What
said,
did you-
emotionally support, I would be there.
What did you mean when you said that you would support her?
Because I think she said you may, bring it up and go to trial with it. She asked if I, would come up and be a witness or testify. And I said, yeah, I will.
Did you tell her that if that did in fact happen, that you would be interviewed by the investigators?
Yes.
In terms of when you spoke to the investigators from the district attorney's office in July of last year, is it fair to say that you were thinking as best you could, and at least as of that time, what all the specifics that you could remember from that night?
Correct.
In terms of your testimony today, it may be difficult to remember the specifics, but do you recall that interview being recorded?
Yes.
And were you attempting to be honest and accurate when you spoke to the investigators on that day, July 10th?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Edwards, you and Jane Doe 4 were friends since freshman year, right?
Yes.
And this happened senior year or maybe even a year after senior year?
It was before I graduated, so I would
Okay.
say senior year.
But you guys were close friends, right?
Correct.
That's your girl, right?
Correct.
You guys partied together?
Yes.
How often would you guys party together?
I would say maybe once a month.
Once a
Not
month?
too often.
Okay. You guys talked about boys,
Yes.
confided in each other, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys would drink together, right?
Yes.
When you guys would go to parties, would you guys stay together, or would you guys both would you guys go off doing your own thing?
I don't remember. I would say majority of times we did stay together.
Right. And so you've seen her drink, right? You've seen Jane Doe 4 drink.
Yes.
And you've seen her consume 2 or 3 beers, right?
Yes.
That's typical of what you guys would consume at a party?
I would say so, yes.
You ever see her consume mixed drinks?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? But you've seen her drink 2 or 3 beers, right?
Yes.
You ever see her drink to intoxication where she's totally drunk?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. Have you ever seen her drink to the point where she passes out?
No.
Never, not your whole time, right?
Never.
Right. You guys would keep it to those standard 2 or 3 drinks, right?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. The parties that you went to pretty much consisted of drinking and talking to boys, is that fair?
I would say majority of them, yes.
Right. Let's go to that night. You went to a small house party, right? After the first house party, you went to a smaller house party?
Yes.
I know that this was a long time ago, and your memory's a little hazy, right?
Yes.
But you do remember very distinctly that the house was on a corner.
That corner or near a corner is what I picture.
And you remember that it was a 2-story house, right?
Correct.
Right. And you even told us that when you testified at the preliminary hearing back in July, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that stuck in your mind.
Yes.
Okay. So now you're at this smaller house party, and you're downstairs, right?
Yes.
And you're on the couch.
Yes.
Is Jane Doe 4 with you on the couch?
No.
No. You said that, did you see her go upstairs?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, would you have let 4 guys take Jane Doe 4 upstairs?
No.
Okay. So you're on the couch and you're falling asleep, right?
Yes.
Jane Doe 4 is not on the couch with you, right?
No.
Okay. And there's other people there in that house, right?
Yes.
There's people upstairs,
Yes.
there's people downstairs.
Correct.
Was Chris Resto there?
I believe so.
Chris Resto was at this party.
Yes.
By the way, do you and Chris Resto have a relationship?
No.
You guys were never intimate?
No.
Is there music playing?
I don't remember.
Okay. But what you do remember is that you see Jane Doe 4 coming down the stairs, right?
Correct.
Right. And did you see anybody carrying her?
I don't remember.
Well, you'd remember if somebody was carrying your friend downstairs at a party,
Objection
wouldn't you?
calls for speculation.
Sustained. You don't need to answer. Next question.
Have you ever seen your friend, Jane Doe 4, so drunk that she needed to be carried?
No.
Okay. Did you see her so drunk that night that she needed to be carried?
No.
Okay. And so you saw her walking down the stairs, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then you guys, she says, "Come on, we gotta go." Right?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. She basically gave you the impression that you guys had to get out of there, whatever word she used.
Correct.
Right. Who drove?
I don't remember.
Okay. The prosecutor was asking you about when you spoke to a district attorney investigator that you gave true answers and correct answers, right, to the best of your recollection?
Correct.
Right. And during your interview, citing court and counsel to page 8, line 16 and 17, they asked you, were you driving that night? And your answer was, I don't think so, right?
Correct.
Okay. So it was most likely that Jane Doe 4 was driving, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained. You don't need to answer.
Is it your memory now that if you weren't driving, do you know who would have been driving?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't remember.
But you and just Jane Doe 4 went to that party together, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you arrived together in the same car, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So then if you weren't driving and you guys came together, she must have been driving, right?
I don't remember if there's other people with us.
Okay. You wouldn't have drove drunk with her, would you?
No.
Okay. And then during this ride home, she mentions that she told him no, but she didn't tell you anything more than that, right?
Not on the ride. I don't believe it was the ride home. I believe she wouldn't say much. I don't remember what exactly she said on the ride home, but she didn't say much until after.
Okay. She never told you that she had passed out, did she?
No.
And then it's later that you guys hear talks about a videotape, right?
Correct.
Did she ever tell you that she was telling him no and some guys were videotaping it?
No.
When she told you what happened, she didn't use the word rape. She just said she just had sex, right?
I don't remember the exact words she used.
Well, when you were speaking with the district attorney investigator, and you were recalling the events, citing court and counsel to page 5, line 24, you said, but she didn't use the word rape, but I know they said they had sex, right? That was your recollection, right?
Yes.
And you don't remember everything, but you remember that part, right?
Correct.
Okay. Jane Doe 4 never told you that she was gang raped, right?
No.
She only just mentioned an incident with just Kellen, right?
Correct.
She didn't say other guys participated, right?
No.
She was just focused on Kellen, right?
Correct.
She never told you that Kellen pushed her face into another guy's genitals, did she?
No.
I mean, you'd remember something like that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
She never told you that she was being digitally penetrated while in a car by multiple guys, did she?
No.
You'd remember something like that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
She never had to be carried to your car, did she?
I don't think so. No.
Well, you remember someone carrying your girlfriend to the car, wouldn't you?
Right.
And that didn't happen, did it?
No.
Okay. But what you do remember, it's also very clear in your mind, even though you don't remember all the events of that night, is that she came downstairs upset.
Correct.
Okay. And this was the first night, the only night that her and Kellen were together, right?
That I know of.
That you know of. Well, this was the first night that they had sex, right?
That I know of.
Okay. Nothing further?
All right, any redirect?
Yes.
Go ahead.
When you spoke to the district attorney investigator on July 10th of last year, didn't you in fact say that they had sex and he forced himself on her?
Yes.
Didn't you in fact say that she had told him no multiple times and that he wouldn't listen?
Yes.
Didn't she in fact tell you that he was too big so she couldn't get him off of her?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, anything further based on that?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
What would you want me to do? When you guys started exchanging text messages about coming to court and that sort of thing, was it you that said, we gotta take Kellen down?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, anything further?
Yes. What did you mean by that?
It was more so if I didn't want to just stand back and not do anything and let this happen to any other females or anybody else.
And
It
is
felt like
that in
something had to have
response-
been done.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait,
Sorry.
let her, hang on, let her finish her answer.
Sorry, I
Go
just
ahead
felt
and
like
finish your answer.
something had to be done.
What do you mean when you say that something had to be done? Based upon what you remember with Jane Doe number 4 and what you knew at that time when you sent that message?
To speak up so it won't happen to anybody else.
Did you feel, based upon what happened to Jane Doe number 4, that you should have spoken up before?
I should have, yes.
Did you feel somewhat responsible for the fact that this happened to other people?
Somewhat, yes.
Is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, can this witness be excused?
She may.
Yes? Mr. Watkins?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you are excused, Ms. Edwards. Thank you very much for coming in. You can follow the deputy out the back door. All right, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called District Attorney Investigator Chris Phelan.
All right. Does anyone need to take a break right now? No?
No, thank you.
Okay, just checking. All right.
I apologize, Your Honor. He's actually transporting the witness. If we could take maybe a brief recess.
Okay, so we are going to take a break. How far out is he?
Oh, no, he was just transporting the last witness. We're just dealing with the logistics. Can we take our afternoon recess a little early?
Okay, is this your last witness?
Yes, he will be.
Okay, do you want to read the stipulation of the record or not?
I can do that now.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's another stipulation that has been worked out between counsel. You heard the first stipulation that has been marked as court exhibit number 159. The next stipulation is marked as court exhibit 158. Do you want to go ahead and read it in the record?
If I may, Your Honor.
All right, and again, this document will go back with you into the jury room. So go ahead, Mr. Owens.
Thank you. That's entitled Trial Stipulations. It's dated yesterday, May 29th, 2019. And it states, the parties hereby stipulate to the following. On May 14th, 2018, Jane Doe number 2 was interviewed by Ann Williams, registered nurse, during the SART examination. In the section regarding any pre- or post-assault related sexual activity, Ms. Williams asked, has the patient had any penile vaginal penetration or contact within the past 5 days? and Jane Doe number 2 answered yes. When asked about the last occurrence of sexual activity, Jane Doe number 2 said it occurred May 11th, 2018. Ejaculation occurred inside the vagina, and a condom was not used by the consensual partner. Ms. Williams further asked, has the patient had any penile anal penetration or contact within the past 5 days? And Jane Doe number 2 answered no.
All right, is that stipulation acceptable to the people?
It is, Your Honor, and it's signed and dated from yesterday by me and Mr. Watkins.
All right, Mr. Watkins, is that stipulation acceptable to the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then you are all instructed to accept those facts as being true. If you recall, Ann Williams testified on May 23rd. It was a week ago today. She was the nurse who came in and testified to the exam. So rather than calling her back and asking her just those few questions, they've entered into that stipulation that would be her testimony. Okay, is Mr. Phelan here now or no?
I can check.
Okay.
He is not, Your Honor.
Okay.
His phone is off because he is expecting to testify.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and take our afternoon recess now. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes. Please remember the admonition. We'll see you back here in 15 minutes.